Good afternoon, Sports Insanity Network's fans. It's Mark Oldup, Sky Halpern here on the Sports Insanity Network, joined by my PIC Danny Boy Reginald. Dan, good afternoon from snowy New York. How are you?
I'm good. The wintry mix is what they're calling it here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I think it's coming to an end because it's pretty clear outside. But I know in New York, I know there's still a lot of stuff coming down. So I'll be traveling into that tonight, which I'm not looking forward to, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be the last day as we head into the warmer weather of the week, as they're predicting us to hit the high 60s by the end of this week. So I'm confused on the thermostat for the planet Earth right now. So let's get at it. Let's talk about why we're here. The Sixth Man Up is our New York Knicks dedicated podcast, but we also throw in a little other NBA news because other things are important. But where we left you off, we had a three-game span, and the Knicks were up against it against with the Cleveland Cavaliers, unfortunately losing 109 to 94. Dan, from this standpoint, this game was lost from before it even got started.
Okay in the first half. It was really that second half where the Cavs really pulled away. Um, like I said, the Knicks didn't do too bad. They actually outscored the Cavs in the second quarter, but I mean, the Cavs already added 25 to their 35 from the first, so it was only a 6 point difference at halftime, and the Cavs ran away with it in the third quarter. Knicks didn't stand a chance. Um, Knicks have a problem with the Eastern Conference. Um, beating teams that again, look, Cavs are a hard team, but in my eyes, I feel like the Knicks, even though the Cavs do have some great playmakers on the team, Knicks should be able to beat Cleveland and stuff. So they certainly do have some issues with playing within their conference a little bit, just a little bit. That
Yeah,
it can be concerning for playoff time.
and I couldn't agree more. Into the stats we go. Normal, usual suspects in for points, but not as great as we hoped. Jalen Brunson led it the way with 20, but after that, Mikal Bridges with 18, and then it was all downhill. And not a lot of help from the bench. I mean, Mitchell Robinson had his first 10-point game in a while, but that was really about it. This game, I think once the third quarter was ended, there was pretty much just get guys in for minutes. As you saw, Shemet hit 20, Robinson 20, Alvarado 22. So this
Yeah.
was a
The
hard loss for the Knicks to take.
They were 3 for 24 in the third, which is tough. There's just no way if you can't get your shooting going, and this team is pulling away, like there's just no way you could find your momentum's gonna be shot, like your confidence is gonna be shot, everything. It was a hard game to watch shooting wise. I believe it was like 30 for like 85 or whatever the heck total for the Knicks on the field. It was tough to watch. And
Yeah.
of course, Jalen Brunson was no help. He was abysmal on the floor. It was just and it only heightens my concern about how Mike Brown, as good as he has done this season, I think overall he's done a good job. Can he get the most out of his best players? I'm starting to have that question in my mind.
We've talked about this in recent weeks because we've seen the fluctuation in numbers go up and down on when starters are playing more or when they're playing less, trying to get the bench involved more. But Dan brought up a good point. Yeah, we've gone out and beat some big teams and whatnot. But when you look at teams like Detroit, Cleveland, Boston,
Hmm.
they're not going away. They're gonna be there come the end. And if the Knicks go into it, I mean, if the Knicks go into it in a losing matter, the first round might be, Miami. If it were to end today, it would be Miami. Would be Miami or whatnot. But in that second round, it's gonna be one of those three,
Mhm.
unless the Knicks can really end up with the number one spot by the end. But we're not gonna promise things. But anything is possible, Dan.
Yeah, man. Look, you're talking about Boston, you're talking about Detroit, Cleveland. These all could possibly be matchups for the Knicks in the playoffs. They gotta get it together. Um,
Ex-
they gotta get
I
it together. They've played the Celtics fairly well, though again, not too happy with how they've played them overall, but you know, Detroit obviously they got their ass kicked. Um, Phillies kicked their ass. Phillies in the
Yeah,
sixth spot.
correct.
Like Knicks are three, Phillies six. Phillies got the better end this season so far. This is what I
Yep.
mean. Like it just heightens my concerns about how Mike Brown, as good overall as he's done, like can he get the most out of the players? Because at least with Tibbs, while we did have a lot of concerns about the utilization of every player, at least there was an identity with Tibbs.
Right. The Knicks moved on, moving on with their record and going up, losing that game, and were set to face off against the Milwaukee Bucks. But then the Knicks got a little bit of news that Giannis Antetokounmpo was not able to play. See, I at least tried it this time, Dan. I at least tried it.
Yeah.
Was going to be non-active, and anytime you hear, and I understand the rhetoric that LeBron James, Stephen Curry, you know, Anthony, all these guys. But one of the guys Luca, one of the guys I fear the most is Giannis. I've look, I have nothing against some of these other guys I just mentioned. They're all, you know, top scoring. But there's just something about Giannis's energy that frightens me. So it's like when you hear you're not going to have Giannis, it was gave a prime opportunity for Tibbs to replay and replan this game plan a little bit. So we got our usual suspects, Jalen Brunson with the 27, but OG Anunoby 24, and then everybody else in double digits with Towns with 17, Towns with his normal double double, Josh Hart with 12. Bridges has still not been his self, only with 10, and then Diawara really had the game off the bench for the Knicks with 10 points of his own. The Knicks ended up winning 127 to 98. Dan, I think this was a little bit of a cupcake treat for the Knicks on this one because anytime you remove a guy who literally could put up the exact amount of points the Knicks won by, it is a treat in and of itself.
Yeah, not having Giannis, look, he's been out for quite a while, like a month, right? With that,
Hmm.
with whatever calf or whatever issue he's having, right? Um, yeah, not having him throughout February, is tough, but keep in mind going into that Nick game for the Bucks, they were 8 of 10 winners. Like they were one of the hottest teams going in to the game. So, and of course, just by the Knicks' luck, they've been having a lot of issues,
Yeah,
going in and coming out of the All-Star break. So, um, it was a get right game for the Knicks. The Knicks needed this win. Bucks had a good first quarter. Knicks had a way better four quarters.
yeah,
Everyone getting involved. This is exactly what I envision the offense being like when everything's in sync and playing the best teams in the NBA. They're passing the ball more. People are getting better looks. We got a bunch of rebounds. Like every defense was on point as well. A lot of turnovers from Milwaukee. I
Yes.
think 16 total. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so that led to, I believe, 19 of those turnovers. 19 points came off those turnovers. Let me get my
And
words
that's
right.
huge. Yeah.
Which
And
is
that's
which was
huge.
big. It was very big. So the Knicks took care of business. It was good day, great game. So again, this Diawara guy, he's young and look, I think one of these days he's gonna turn not I don't know about star, but he'll definitely be a very productive guy off the bench. Like
I
I
agree.
could really
I
see
agree.
that be a big piece.
I see Diawara as the replacement for Mitchell Robinson when Mitchell Robinson is done. Hats off to
Yeah,
Robinson and what he's done this season. He's actually been
yeah,
much more productive this season than he has in seasons past. That's because he's healthy. So we'll see. But Diawara is definitely a guy who can be
yes.
looked on defensive wise and right underneath the basket. Just to give credit to some of the Milwaukee Bucks, former New York Knick Kyle Kuzma with 17, Miles Turner, the evil man, with 19. And then Kevin Porter had a nice game with a double-double, 11 points and 10 assists. So, you got to give a little bit of notation to some of these guys. They
Yeah,
did try their hardest.
Miles Turner, an old foe of the New York Knicks, just like the rest of his counterparts in Indy, still kicking our asses. Clearly the
Yeah.
Bucks are nowhere near what base. Yeah.
Right. The Knicks moved on, and a game I was actually looking forward to be honest, because it highlights one of the biggest players in the NBA, and as much as I like to say it would be a New York Knick, it was not. It's watching Victor Wembanyama, play, and to see this guy who stands 7'4" shoot threes like it's nothing is kind of a cool thing. But the Knicks did not have to worry about that as the Knicks went on to another trouncing against let's put it this way, one of the top teams in the NBA today,
Yes.
not of recent years, today, as San Antonio is 43 and 17, so they have a better record than the Knicks. The Knicks
Mm,
ended up winning by almost 30 points.
yeah.
So who do we look at this game? Everybody
Mm.
beyond contributed. You can say the usual suspect, Jalen Brunson with 24, 4 assists. I'm sorry, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. But let's listen to this. Carl Anthony Towns, 12 with 14 rebounds. Josh Hart, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. Mikal Bridges, 25. Can he do this all the time, please?
That and the five
5 points
steals. Can we
and
get the five
five
steals
steals.
too? Like,
And 5 bounds.
mm.
Where, I mean, who has the cattle prod to shove up this guy's rear end to get him going every game? I
I
mean,
don't
this is,
know. It's weird with Bridges. I will say that it is very
yeah,
weird.
I mean, his stats and his games run like the Dow and Jones Industrial Average. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. If he could be consistent, and I'm not saying he has to drop 25 a night, give me 15 a night, give me 3 to 5 rebounds, give me 2 to 5, give me 2 steals.
Yeah.
That's production. And
Yeah. Of
throw an assist in there while you're at it. That's
course.
production. Off the bench, again, Diawara with the big game, 14 points, but in 15 minutes.
Mhm.
That's what shows. I mean, he's been given more of a leash to play as he took 14 shots. But it's not like he's out there shooting from half court. Don't understand why he was taking 13 3-point shots. I mean, I guess when you're left wide open, you got to try to beat Angel Reese somehow. Um, That was wrong. I apologize to our fans. That was a wrong cut. I really apologize. I'm sorry.
Mark, curse you.
Yes, it's not a ding. That's more of the club, you know. That's the bang, you know. We respect all players in
Yeah.
all sports. We do. Back to the NBA. The Knicks took out of this game something that was big. Now, when Biama put up his normal numbers, so he put up his 25 points, 13 rebounds. They took out the production from everybody else with the
Yes.
defense that they played. That
Yeah.
was the key. If you can, if Wembanyama is going to have his game and he's going to play, okay, fine. You understand. You know what you're going to expect. You're not going to stop the Jolly Green Giant like you couldn't stop Shaq and Olajuwon and Ewing. They had their signatures just like he does. But what did other teams do? They shut down what was around him. That was the key here, as most of everybody else was denied more than 15 points, except for Devin Vessel, sorry. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that was the key, Dan.
Yeah, that the 11-0 run to start the second quarter for the Knicks, huge. The 54 to 41 rebound total. Knicks had the 54, Spurs had the 41. That was huge. The 22 turnovers that the Knicks caused, that was huge. Like, overall, one of the better defensive games I've seen the Knicks play this season against a team going into this game was undefeated in February. They couldn't stop winning, and their offense was unbelievable throughout the month. Every single aspect of the Spurs game throughout the month of February was phenomenal, unbeaten. No one could
Yeah,
beat crazy. So going in knowing that you're facing one of the hottest teams, I'm sorry, the hottest team in the NBA. You go out and you put that type of performance up. That is beyond impressive. Um, and look, for anyone that had questions, and I still have questions about the Knicks competing against the East, any any type of doubt about them competing against the West. I mean, look, they beat the Nuggets, they beat the Spurs. Like, the competitiveness is there. The inconsistency is there too for the Knicks.
and, and that's the word. That is the key word, is inconsistency. As you just the first half.
Yes.
Yes, they lost to Detroit, they lost to Philadelphia, but there was more of a surge. There was
Mhm.
more competitive. Now, players get tired as the season drags on. We understand that. But the Knicks have the
Okay.
bench to try to supplement that, to be able to get Jalen to the playoffs and maybe let him go 33 to 35 minutes at that point. Josh Hart, his 49 minutes, because after the game is over, he's around running laps talking to the fans. It's stuff like that that we need to see come the first round. And that those playoffs are coming.
Mhm.
They're not hiding. They're coming. And if the
Yeah.
Knicks keep playing lollygaggling, like, I hate to use that word, to be honest, it's going to be a problem come the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, I love my Knicks, but I mean, someone's just gotta sit them down. We know that players only meeting paid off because of the turn in production,
Yeah.
but we need to see it as a more, like Dan said, consistent win basis. Yeah, you're gonna drop a game here and there, but not win two, drop three. That can't happen anymore.
Yeah, and look, it's paid off for the most part. It's paid off. Ever since that players only meeting, they've only had four losses. Like, it's but it's also about who you were beating. Because a lot of those wins were against a bunch of nobody teams. It's also about who you're beating. That also matters. So we do have to take a look and really evaluate who the opponents are, how they're playing against these opponents. And that's the full picture of this team. And yeah, it's a team that can give you nights like the ones against Spurs, which we're all happy about. We're all singing Kumbaya and, we're all happy. But then you have nights like in Cleveland, where
Right.
it just shakes your head.
Right. You can come out as confident as you want, but if it doesn't translate into buckets, then forget about it.
Yeah.
The Knicks will face off tonight against the Toronto Raptors at 7:30. A bit of interesting news from this week. Trey Turner back in the news in the limelight after being traded to the Wizards. Did not even get to
Mhm.
step on the floor. Well, he did get to step on the floor, but he was tossed due to a confrontation between him and the head referee before his actual Wizards debut on a call against one of his players, and has ejected from the game before he could even get into it. As Trey Turner said, "Don't expect me to get ejected from many more games. This is on me. It was a mistake on my part."
He's inspired by this young Wizards team, and he just look he a call was made that's questionable. It was very questionable, and he was like, "Screw it! I'm just gonna come on the floor and argue with the ref." Can't do that when you're on street clothes, so it gets ejected. Like it is what it is, like
Exactly,
yeah,
but
uh,
he's making his voice heard, so
yeah,
we know he's out there.
yeah. He will make his debut. And this week, which is very nice. Good to that the Wizards are finally going to have him play, see what he could do for this team and stuff. Again, not going to matter much. They're not going anywhere in the playoffs or anything. It's not happening for Washington. But it will be nice to see Trey, you know, do his thing.
Yeah, throwing
You
out
know,
dimes like Steve
like,
Nash and John Stockton.
Trey Young, if I'm being rude with you, Trey Young, you know, he felt kind of lost in his last few months with Atlanta, you know?
Hmm.
And now that he's sort of feeling a little bit rejuvenated, he's healing from the injury, obviously. Feeling a little rejuvenated. It's like it's good to see that. Good to see that he's, out there being very supportive, being understanding of a young club. Like, yeah, like I like it. I like this side of Trey Young. Now I hope he doesn't kick the Knicks'
Yeah,
ass.
I guess he has a little bit of cabin fever after being, sidelined so long. He just wanted to show everybody was there and just didn't expect it to go that way. But we are excited to see Trey back and doing what he does. On another note, Memphis Grizzlies center Zach Edney will have another surgery on that injured ankle. This is a big loss for the Memphis Grizzlies as they were expecting to get him back, and it's not working out. That ankle has to have more work done on it, Dan.
Yeah, that's a tough
Uh,
one. Tough one to swallow for sure.
and
Um,
then, yeah, sorry.
no, I was about to say Stephen Curry's also out with the knee.
Yeah, that's what Dan's on the
Or-
news just like me. We got that thing like Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin had. That's how it is. Yes, Warriors released that Stephen Curry will be still sidelined with the lingering knee issue.
yeah.
We'll see what happens. And our favorite point guard is going back to court again. Chauncey Billups will be back in court and will be facing currently decades in prison. But we know that doesn't happen to sports stars these days, Dan.
I mean, look, you get involved with these crazy old gamblers. You're doing all these betting stuff and these side poker games. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Be
come
smart with
on.
your money, guys.
Like you, come on, man. Like you're gonna go to fucking prison. Excuse my language. You're gonna go to prison. Like it. Obviously, we wish Chauncey the best, and we don't want to see a NBA legend, this to happen to. We don't want to see an NBA legend go through all this stuff, but law is the law, rules are rules, and if you are literally in this ring where you're stealing from people, you're gonna be in a tough spot, dude. Like, it's rough.
That's going to do it for us here on the Six Man Up here on the Sports Insanity Network. Dan and I are usually on at 1 o'clock, but I was walking my puppy in this bad weather and I got talking to a neighbor, so I was 20 minutes late. So I do apologize again to Dan for that. Dan and I will be back next Tuesday at 1 p.m. without a problem, I promise. And we will be catching you up on, again, Knicks information on games played and on NBA news. Follow us at www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com for all the blogs and vlogs of upcoming events. Check out all the live podcasts from baseball cards to the original Starship podcast, Sports Insanity podcast with Dan and Bill on Mondays and Fridays. They give you a little taste of how this network started and a little bit of fresh reality coming from the original guys. Sometimes Patch and I'd come in and join them, and sometimes even some of the newer guys might fall in. You never know who'll show up on SIP. Dan, X is an important thing because that's where a lot of our stuff gets posted. Where are they following us on X?
At S Insanity Real. S Insanity Real. Find us there. Please follow us. We post a lot there. Or at least we're trying to.
Like,
Find us there.
subscribe, hit that bell. For Mark Oldup's guy Halpern, along with Vice President Danny Boy Reginald, from snowy New York and cold Northeast, hopefully going to the warmer springs by the end of this week. We wish you a great day, and we'll catch you on the flip side.